by if the pattern goes up by different numbers every time or down by different numbers every time, it's considered not arithmetic. And what that means, again, or what an arithmetic sequence is, just so that you guys know. An arithmetic sequence or series increases or decreases by the same number every time. What operation are we talking about when I say increase and decrease? Adding and subtracting. That's all I'm looking at today. So that first one I gave you that went up by 2, then 4, then 6, then 8, doesn't count. Because you're not going up by the same number every time. Do you remember the one a little bit ago that where went down by 1.6 every time? That would be an arithmetic sequence. And I can come up with that equation way faster using a different formula than the way we did it. So let me give you another one. If I have something like -4, 1, 6, 11, 16, is this an arithmetic sequence?
Yes.
What's it going up by? 5. So what I do a lot of times is I'll make these little arrows underneath here and just say, all right, is it going up or down by the same number every time? Which it is. It's a 5. Yay, team. If it goes up by the same number every time, then here's the formula to write these. The arithmetic sequence formula looks like this. A sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1, bless you, times d. A sub 1, bless you, stands for the first term. D is what they consider, or what they call, the common difference. Now I said common difference, and difference usually means subtraction, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means whatever number that you're getting. So for instance, for us, we're getting 5 every time. We said it increased by 5. That's the common difference. That's the D. Okay? What, Reno?
What's on
The A1, like that one? First term. Yep. So if I want to write the equation for this one, what is the number that's in the first spot? -4. Thanks, Ben. So I have a sub n equals -4 plus n minus 1. And then what number was the difference that you guys were finding? 5, because you went up or down by 5 every time. And done. Now, one of the things that you can do at this point, right now, I have a formula. It never says anywhere in there to simplify. It depends on the author of the textbook. I've done stuff with high school ones and college ones. Sometimes they leave it like this. Sometimes they leave it multiplied out. Some of you might be this way, where you need to distribute this out here and then combine like terms. So -4 plus 5n minus 5 would be 5n minus 9. Which is like the format that we had that other one, where I had 5.8 minus 1.6n. Which way do you want to leave it? That is your choice. I don't care. Me personally, I would leave it like the top one. Okay? Some people just want to work it out.
Wait, you don't have to work it out?
No.
Oh, I just wrote all that down.
You can work it out if you'd like to, or you can leave it alone. Me personally, I like to just leave it alone, only because some people screw up the math when they forget to FOIL it right or distribute it right, and then combine the like terms, they accidentally add it wrong. And then you're shot. Okay? So what do you think? As far as coming up with the formula now, was that a little bit easier? All right. This is going to be a little bit easier that way as compared to yesterday's stuff. So, if I have 60, 52, 44, 36, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you this is arithmetic. I want to know the equation. So what are we doing? We're subtracting 8. So the common difference on this one is going to be minus 8 because you are subtracting. All right? So right here, I'd have a minus 8. And as long as that holds true for, I'd say, at least the first 3, then we have the common difference. We got it. Yay. That make sense? What's the first term? So my equation is a sub n equals 60 plus 1 minus, or n minus 1 times by negative 8. And done. Now what they're going to ask you to do, after they come up with the equation, they're going to say, find the 20th term. Now you may be sitting there going, how am I going to do that? There's 2 ways. The first way is, can you continue to just subtract 8 so that you get 20 different numbers? Yes, you could. You could start at 60 and go 60 minus 50 or minus 8, that minus 8, 20 times, and you get your answer. And some of you might do that, and that's okay. But if I want to know the 20th term and how they're going to list it is they're going to list a sub 20, you're going to put 20 in for n. So you end up with 60 plus 20 minus 1 times negative 8. Now, using the order of operations, 20 minus 1 is what? 19. What's 19 times negative 8? Not that far, but maybe. Negative 152. 60 minus 152 is negative 92. Okay? So they're going to ask you to come up with the equation, which we did right here. And then we're going to come up with whatever the 20th term is. What do you think? Not too bad? Is the equations a little bit easier than yesterday's? Then they should be, because of the fact that there's a formula to go by. The part that's going to be a little bit more work is going to be when I give you ones like this, where it says, here's the 19th term is equal to 48. The common difference is 3. I want to know the equation. So using that generic formula, using that a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d, let's plug in what we know. Haley, what's the d? 3. So that means I'm going to put 3 right here. This 19 there, where does that go in your formula? That's your n, right? Where does the 48 go? A sub n. What that's saying is, it's saying when I stick 19 into your n, I'm going to get 48 out. Does that make sense? So what's the piece you don't know? A1. A1, right. Now it's got me hungry for steak. So, what's 19 minus 1? 18. That's 18 times 3. So 48 equals A1 plus 54. How do I solve for A1? And what's 48 minus 54? No. Negative 6. Okay? So what's the equation? A sub n equals what? Plus times 3. Now from here, could I ask you to find the 100th term if I wanted to? Yes. Absolutely. Okay, am I going to? Not necessarily for those. It's just going to say find the answer, find the equation. But we could go that far. Okay? What do you think of that? Not too bad? All right, good. Now, the next type is going to be, yep. The next types are going to be probably the ones that are going to require you to do the most work today. You have to resort back to some things that we did like way back in September, October. which I know has been a long time.
We're finding the equation again.
Okay, so we're finding the equation again. It's still the same directions, find the equation. But this particular case, notice I don't give you an A1 and I don't give you a D. So if I still do that, that left side is saying when I put in 8, I get out 21, right? So the 21 goes in for A sub n. I don't know the first term. I put in 8 for n, and I multiply it by d. What's 8 minus 1? Now on the right side, I get out 97. I don't know A1. I'm putting in 27. I don't know D. What's 27 minus 1? Good. Now, does anybody remember how to solve a system of equations? Okay, one of the things that we could do, there's 3 different techniques that we talked about in here, plus you also talked about in your Algebra 1 class a long time ago. And that was you could use graphing, substitution, or elimination method. That's the 3 different ways that we talked about doing this. I'm going to suggest that you stay away from the graphing method because it's not in terms of x and y, it's in terms of a and d. And some of you get those backwards. Okay? So you can either use substitution or elimination. When I have it set up like this, elimination is faster. Because all I have to do is get rid of one of the letters. What letter do you want to get rid of? The A1 or the D? I'm actually going to get rid of the A1. Not that it's wrong, because you two up here both said D. It's not wrong, but the common number between 7 and 26 would be whatever 7 times 26 is. Yuck, big numbers. All I have to do here is multiply this guy by -1. And that gives me -21, -A1, -7D. And if I add straight down, what's 97 minus 21? $76. Thanks, Jordan. What happens with the A1s? They cancel out, right? And what's 26 minus 7? 19D. How do you solve for your D? Divide by 19. And what's 76 divided by 19? I'll help you. 4. You just found your D. As soon as you know your D, you can work backwards then to find your A. Okay? And what that means is you use either one of these 2 equations. It's your choice. I'm going to use the one that we generated on the left because it's smaller numbers. But I have 21 equals A1 plus 7 times 4. Everybody see what I did there? I put 4 back into the D, and now I'm solving for A1. So what's 7 times 4? 28. Subtract 28 to both sides. What's 21 minus 28? -7. So now, as soon as you have your A1 and your D, you can create your equation. What's my equation then? Good. Now the one thing that I want you also to see when I'm creating the equations, and I don't know if you guys notice this or not, but do you see the 4, how I put it in parentheses?
Yeah.
Do you know why I'm doing that?
No.
I'm doing that to show that I'm multiplying it to the A or the n minus 1. Because if that would have been a -4 and you don't put it in parentheses, doesn't that look like subtracting 4?
Yeah.
That's why I do it.
I only
And that's fine, Reno, if you don't do it with the positive one, but I still do it anyway. It's just a habit. Okay? Those are going to be your hardest challenge today. That's going to be the most work. They are all set up like that, though. You can do elimination method on every single one of them that are like that. Always it'll be where A sub n or A sub 1 will be the one where you get rid of it. They should all work out that way. Okay? The last thing that I'm going to show you. When you had this yesterday, which none of you guys had any questions on how to do any of these, if I said a and n equals 1 and I went to 20, and I said 3n plus 5, according to yesterday's stuff, what would you have done? One all the way to 20 and then add them all together, right? How many different numbers is that? 20. Do you want to do it that way? If you want to do it that way, it's not wrong. That is an option. You plug everything in from 1 to 20 and get all those answers and go. Or there's another formula for you. If you want to sum a finite series, there is an equation. By the way, the opposite of finite is infinite. Can you sum an infinite series?
No.
Why? It goes on forever, right? How are you going to add every number? You're not. Ever. So, to sum a finite series, the formula looks like this. N, a sub 1 plus a sub n divided by 2. So here's what I need to know with this. I need to know how many terms I'm summing.
Wait. X, right?
Yes, for sum. The n stands for how many terms I'm summing. A sub 1 stands for what? First term. What's a sub n stand for? The last term. So in this case, we're dealing with the one when we put 20 in there. And what's a 2 do? It's the number 2. Okay? So instead of doing all the numbers from 1 to 20, let's just do the number 1 and the number 20 and get this done faster. Agreed? So if I put 1 in there, what's 3 times 1 plus 5? 8. I'm putting 1, Jenna, because it's the bottom number. The starting point was n equals 1, so I'm putting 1 in first. I'm getting my first term. Now what's the next number I should put in? No, next number I should put in. 20. Because that's the last number or where I stop. The answer to that is 65 because 3 times 20 is 60 plus 5 is 65. Is everybody okay with how I got those two? Now, if you really wanted to, could I have gone through and found every number in between there also? Absolutely. And then once I find every single number in between there, could I have added those all together? Absolutely. If that's the way you like to do it, then do it that way. However, it's going to take you longer. How many terms am I going to sum? 20. How'd you get that? Because there's a 20 on top thing. And we're going from 1 to 20, are we not? Okay. What was the first term? 8. What's the last term? Now here comes some fancy dancy math for you. What's 8 plus 65? 73 divided by 2. How much?
36.5.
Yeah, it was a little off there, Cody, but I knew what you... That's fine. So it was 36.5 times 20. 730. Now, again, you could have did it how you did it yesterday by plugging every number in from 1 to 20, adding them all together, and you would have got 730. But you still would have been on like maybe the 5th term. Right? As compared to just putting in that formula. So, is there any of that stuff that we went through today you guys want me to go through again? All right. So on that note, it starts on page 806, goes to 807. 4, just so that you guys know, 4 through 11 just says, tell me whether it's an arithmetic sequence or not. Why not? So, yes, it goes up by 5 every time. No, it does not subtract by the same number every time, or something like that. Then 12 through 20, find the rule. That's where it says, that's where you write your a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n plus 1 divided by d, or minus 1, times d. I'll get there. And then find the 20th term. 23 to 28, it says write the rule, then graph it. You do not have to graph them. You can just write the rule. Okay? No graphing today. Same thing with 30 to 38. Just write the rule. And then 40 to 48, you're doing that summation thing. So 4 to 48, multiples of 4. Hopefully that's... Boop.